SEO for Beginners Training Lesson 1.1. Google's SERP. Table of Contents. Learning Objectives. 1. Google's SERP. 2. Regular snippets. Rich snippets. Sponsored results and ads. Organic results. 3. Featured snippets. Knowledge graph. Box snippets. Carousels. 4. One-box results. Key takeaways. Learning objectives. In this lesson you'll learn what Google's search engine results page looks like on a computer, which different types of snippets exist, Google's SERP1. In the video, you learned about how search engines use crawlers to index websites. After that, the indexed information is used to create snippets, which are links to sites with a description. These are shown on a search engine's SERP, or search engine results page. In image 1, on the next page, you can see what Google's SERP looks like on desktop. The SERP interface and its snippet formats often change, and it's difficult for us to keep this document updated regularly. Therefore, please note that some of the snippets mentioned in this document might look different on your SERP. Straight away, you notice some distinct features. In the top left you can find the Home button. Google often changes this up, and it's inspired by an important event of that day. It further consists of the following elements: a search bar, in which you can type your query. Several categories in which you can specify what type of results you are looking for. Settings, with which you can change options for your searches in General. The Tools option, used to filter the search results you are currently seeing. The amount of results and the time it took Google to perform the search. The snippets the search engine provides us with after inserting a query. Snippets, snippets, snippets. Next, we'll talk about snippets. There are a lot of different types of snippets, which is why we sorted them into 3 groups for now. 1. Regular snippets, which are links to pages that are linked to the query of the search engine's user. 2. Featured snippets, which attempt to answer a question or provide a source directly in the SERP. They're shown very prominently, often at the top of the search results page. They also provide a link to the page they're connected to if the user wants to read more. 3. One-box results, which are search results that don't link to an external source like other snippets. For an overlook of the different subtypes of snippets we'll discuss, please have a look at the table of contents at the top of this document. Two regular snippets. Now let's get started with the important part. Let's take a closer look at a snippet in image 2.
How to survive a zombie apocalypse. All that is interesting. Knowing how to survive a zombie apocalypse is a law in matter. These facts will give you everything you need to stay alive. Image 2, an example of a regular snippet.
A regular snippet has three primary components. 1. The URL. 2. The title. 3. The meta description. At the top, you see the URL with breadcrumbs. This shows the website and where the page is located within the website. For example, it could show you the website's category that the post or page is part of. The title of a snippet is very important, because it's the first thing that people see when they scan across the list. It's blue to signify it's a link. You want the title to convince the search engine user that this is the page they're looking for. Lastly, it shows the meta description in gray. The meta description gives you a tiny impression on what the page is about. This way, people can check if this page is really what they're looking for. You want the meta description to spark the search engine user's interest, so they want to look further. Also, the keywords the search engine user entered in the search query are shown in bolded font. Sometimes the SERP will also show a date in front of the meta description. This is useful, because it gives you information on when the page was last updated. This can be especially handy when you're looking for news sources. With the free version of the Yoast SEO plugin, you have more control over how your snippets are shown by the SERP. For example, you can give Google a suggestion for what the meta description should say. Rich snippets. Depending on the search query, the Google SERP might show extra information with a snippet. We call this a rich snippet. For example, if the snippet shows a page about a product, it might show the price, how it's rated, and whether the product is in stock. The extra info is shown under the title. Image 3 shows what a rich snippet for a zombie apocalypse survival kit search query looks like.
This is whyimmbroke.com. Zombie Apocalypse Survival Kit. This is why I'm broke. Increase your chance to staying alive when the undead rise up by carrying the Zombie Apocalypse Survival Kit. This reusable tiny comes jam-packed with 40. Image 3, an example of a rich snippet.
Sponsored results and ads. Google will often show sponsored results first, which are snippets that companies pay for to have them ranked at the top of the SERP. They're marked by a black ad icon in front of the slug, as you can see in image 4. Sponsored results can be rich snippets.
Armageddon's Echo and Fair. Make to make difference. Image 4, an example of a sponsored result.
Organic results. When search results aren't sponsored, we call them organic results. These are the queries that fit the question of the user best, according to Google's algorithm. Improving websites to perform well in the organic results are what we at Yoast specialize in. Of course, organic results can be rich, too. 3. Featured snippets. Almost every SERP user loves featured snippets. Featured snippets are also known as featured results. These are the snippets that give you tons of information about the query you entered instantly, without having to click through to a website. The main difference between featured snippets and rich snippets is the prominence in which featured snippets are shown in the SERP. Featured snippets are often shown at the top of the page or side. Rich snippets, however, are sprinkled in between the other simple snippets. You can use structured data to help Google find everything they need to make a featured snippet, but this does not ensure that Google will pick your content as the best. You can learn more about how this works in our structured data training. Knowledge graph. Knowledge graphs are info boxes that show up to the right of the regular search results. They will focus on a person, organization, or concept. In image 5 you can see an example of this, where the knowledge graph gives us information about Yoast's CEO, Marieke van der Rocht. As you can see, it provides additional links in the form of social media profiles. The knowledge graphs shows different types of sources with different topics. For example, it will show you the nutrition facts if you search for apple pie.
An example of a knowledge graph.
Box snippets. If you ever tried to Google for a guide, you probably know what a box snippet looks like. There's several different types of box snippets and they all have different purposes. Here's a few important examples. Answer box, which gives the answer to a question, or a definition. For example, how many legs does a spider have? Look at an example of an answer box in image 6. How to box, which explains an action in steps. For example, how to bake an apple pie. There's an example of a how to box below in image 7. People also ask, also referred to as Q&A box, which answers related questions. For example, if you were to search for can you make a doctor's appointment on Sunday, Google will suggest other questions, such as can you make doctor's appointments online? You can find an example of a people also ask box in image 8. Map box, which shows a location. Look at an example of a map box. In image 9. Movies in theater, which shows the current movies in a cinema. Nearby, you can study an example of a movies in theater box in image 10.
Image 7, an example of an answer box. How to change flat tire, an example of how to box. People also ask, image 8, an example of people also ask box. Walmart Supercenter, an example of map box. Show times at AMC Empire 25, an example of a movies in theater box.
Carousels. A carousel shows different snippets related to the search query, usually accompanied by an image. Typically, they show up right below the search query. They usually show 3 to 5 options, but the carousel can be extended to show more. Like box snippets, there's many different types of these, including video carousel, which shows an array of videos based on the search query. We've included an example of what it looks like in image 11. Product carousel, which shows the user suggestions for products that might match the search query. Look at an example in image 12. Twitter carousel, which instantly shows a few tweets of the person or organization the user Googles. It prioritizes new tweets. Curious what that looks like? You can find an example in image 13. Top stories, which provide the user with news articles that Google deems relevant. Have a look at image 14 to see what it's like. Top things to do, which offers fun or interesting locations for the user to visit, based on their search query. Find an example below. Image 15.
An example, image 11, an example of video carousel. Image 12, an example of product carousel. Image 13, an example of Twitter carousel. Image 14, an example of a top story carousel. Image 15, an example of a top things to do carousel.
For one-box results. Google also introduced search results that aren't linked to a website. Earlier, we mentioned box snippets as a possible featured result. One-box results are very similar. The difference is that with a one-box result, Google doesn't offer a link to a web page. For example, maybe you want to know what time it is in Wijchen, the town in the Netherlands where Joost is located. In image 16, we show you what that looks like. Google will just show you the time, without mention the site it took the information from.
Image 16, an example of a one-box result.
Or maybe you want to know if there's any football finals coming up. Let's run it through Google and see what it shows. In image 17, you can see that there's tabs, and I can even click on the expand button below for more information. But, most importantly, there is no source link.
Image 17, a different example of one-box result.
Key takeaways. These are the key takeaways for this lesson. The Google SERP consists of a home button, a search bar, search categories, filter options in the form of settings and tools, and, of course, search results. There's a wide variety of snippets, including rich snippets, sponsored snippets, knowledge graphs, box snippets and carousels.